Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is Austin here, bringing you guys a game between Millennium ForGG, the red Terran spawning at the bottom right of Metropolis, up against Liquid TaeJa, the blue Terran at the top left. This is part of a new approach of mine to StarCraft 2 commentary. I'm going to be doing single games now. I've had a tendency to do series for about the past 6 or 7 months since April, March-ish, when I actually broke into doing professional level commentaries. But I found that for a number of reasons, both in terms of views and in terms of quality of games, it would be a lot better if I just brought you guys single matches that were recommended on Ghost Gamers or other sites and just top replays. Doesn't matter if they're in the middle of a series. I'd rather have really strong single games where you don't have to see all 5 if they weren't all too great, and you just get to see the snippet, the highlight. I downloaded the WCS Europe replay pack, so I'll be fishing through some of those, see which ones are the best, and bringing you guys a ton more diversity, different players. This specific matchup, TvT from the DreamHack Valencia ISO Open, held a couple weeks back. We've got Bucharest coming up in Romania. That is 11 days from now, I think. I remember that from Desro's stream because he is going there. This is the finals game 5. It all comes down to this. ForGG went up 2-0 and TaeJa tied it entering this. I can tell you that confidently because I watched the entire series live on the DreamHack stream. I do know who won, but I'm not going to ruin it. All I'm going to say is that it is epic. Let's just watch it unfold now. Both players opening up fairly standard, except for the fact that ForGG has already gotten a refinery. That is a fairly early timing to be getting it, around 14 population. So I'm sure he's going to go for something of an early aggression. No professional player will get a gas without extremely valid reason, unless they're trying to play mind games, which is truly more of a sauce kind of thing. TaeJa is going to now see this and maybe raise an eyebrow or something of that sort. He's only now starting his gas, so perhaps he'll just maybe even throw it out a bunker, as there's a factory now on the way here from ForGG, so that could be leading to Hellions. 1 Marine building for him, likely just to fend off against a scout, and then we will see his add-on. That will tell us everything. Is he just going for Tech Lab to try to hit a very fast 1-1-1 timing, or is he going for more of a Reactor to Hellion style into maybe even Banshees, because 1-1-1 Hellion Banshee, very strong opener, but then again, it can go either way. It's either an extremely successful harass or fizzles, but the bonus is it's two-pronged, so either the Hellions may mess up and the Banshees compensate, or vice versa. It does seem as though there's going to be a tech lab on this barracks, and it's lifting up, so Factory is not going to switch up with that at all. ForGG is just going to throw down a starport right on it. We've got Banshees coming our way, ladies and gentlemen. TaeJa only now getting his second gas. ForGG's got 1, but that will be more than enough to pump out 1 or 2 Banshees. Our blue Terran player has decided to expand rather early, and at the moment, ForGG seems to have no intention of doing so. He's not banking up 400 minerals. He's just made a Hellion now, and I think he's going to have to inflict a certain level of damage to be able to come back into this game, essentially. He has fallen behind economically already, as TaeJa's already got his expansion just about finished. So this Banshee will have to pay that back, and on the back of this, should the harass go well, ForGG will be able to throw down an expansion of his own. He is still banking under 200 minerals. We'll have to see now. He's surpassed that mark. No, he's just building some Hellions now and a reactor on his rack. So it doesn't seem like he's going to expand. So that will further intensify the fact that he will have to do some damage. There is a bunker here at the front with just 1 Marine inside of it. That should be enough to fend off against Hellions, or at least stall them long enough. There is a tech lab here on the factory, so will TaeJa be going for the very standard Marine tank medevac and just research siege tech and get a siege tank out? He will, not researching siege tech, but building 1 tank. So he does have the option of going into Banshees himself. We'll have to see how he decides to go about doing it, or if he's just going to stay, like I said, the standard composition of Marine tank medevac. Where is our Banshee? It is right here approaching TaeJa's base at a move speed of 2.75. Just had to consult my little menu there. Here's the diversionary attack here from ForGG, trying to pull TaeJa away with Marines, but he has taken some degree of health damage on this Banshee. He's now moving his Hellions over. He could potentially get some good blasts off. His Banshee running low on health. All the Marines have been pulled over. My computer being very sloppy here. It's so excited to see whether or not this Banshee will die, and it is at 20 health. Looks like ForGG will safely pull it out with 5 kills. The 2 Hellions necessary sacrifices here. ForGG trying to imbue some range. The Banshee has 6. The Marines have 5, to my knowledge. Yes, so the Banshee just marginally able to outrange the Marines, but I found that pretty funny. ForGG was getting away with the Banshee. TaeJa just comes over with the Viking, just kind of like, nice try, bud, and then just shoots him down in one volley. That was actually quite comical. Meanwhile, TaeJa himself going to go with a if you dish it, can you take it mentality, because he has his starport with a tech lab on the way. ForGG is only seeing the traditional reactor on the racks, tech lab on the factory. He has no idea that this is coming, but does he have Vikings of his own? Potentially. He does have 2, so they will counteract this one Viking from TaeJa. The sorry, nice try, bud, is shot down himself, and ForGG has gotten his own expansion. Behind this, both players boasting 32 to 28 harvesters in favor of TaeJa. He's got a reasonable bank of about 500 minerals. He could even be throwing down a 3rd CC here. He does have the money for it. We'll have to see if he decides to play greedy or not. Don't forget, both of these players' lives are on the line. Lives. Why was I saying lives? I pride myself on my very advanced grammar, and I just said lives. I mean, we all love the Zerg player that's 15 years old and in the semifinals of the GSL, but not enough to let it screw up my plurals. TaeJa now does have his own 2 Hellions moving out, along with a Banshee towards the left side of our screen. ForGG has, again, no idea of this, and it will be quite unexpected. TaeJa catching him out of position. He'll be able to run right into the natural and maybe get some nice SCV kills. What are our numbers at? Only 2 killed for ForGG. TaeJa already cutting that in half. This tank going to move in here and kill one of the Hellions right away as if it's nothing. And ForGG may be able to pick off this Banshee if he decides to. TaeJa not really on his game there with his micro. ForGG getting his siege tech way faster, so that did stall TaeJa to some degree. He's got 2 more racks on the way, going to land them both on these reactors, building a tech lab on one of these barracks so he'll be able to get his combat shields. I'm pretty sure he was the one player to finish his sim pack already. I could be wrong, but it would be quite late for him to be getting it. At 10 minutes he is, so no, he had not gotten his stim pack. That must have been ForGG, or no, just me being really sloppy and not knowing who is getting their upgrades. I could have sworn I saw this logo there, but nonetheless, TaeJa is now getting his weapons level 1, and ForGG making a nice push out across. He does have his siege tech research. He's going to be able to use these 4 Vikings to abuse the high ground vision and get some good shots off. TaeJa needs to be careful. A lot of his Marines dying. He was able to pick off a tank there, but at the cost of a lot of his Marines, 2 of them dying just as they're outside of the range, as they were about to be outside of the range. They're like, you know, chariots on fire, dun, 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 and they're running towards the end, and then they just all die. Anyways, on the back of this ForGG getting his Infernal Pre-Igniter, and so it seems as though he will be going for a very heavy mech playstyle. He's trying to kill this factory with Vikings. How often do you see that? The reactor focused down here by the tank. It is going to burn out quite soon. TaeJa not able to repair it in time. The 2 tanks of TaeJa sieged up defensively, but he's not able to breach ForGG's line of 2 tanks, which is now dealing some damage to the bunker. He will have to pull those Marines out of there to avoid getting them hit by some splash damage as the bunker dies. None of them going to fall there, but a lot of Marines stemming up. This is a little bit of a ballsy move here from TaeJa. Is he going to be able to kill all the tanks? He gets 1, might get 2, he does get 2, but a 3rd one back here, still going to kill some Marines. He does have 4 kills of his own. TaeJa, extremely risky choice of his to get a 3rd CC now, thinking he's going to be able to break this contain with minimal losses. We'll see how well he's able to pull that off. ForGG still doesn't have his stim, so it looks like he has no intention of going with Marines in his composition. As we can see here, he's got 3 factories producing back at home. So these Marines are just eventually all going to die out and not really be remembered fondly by ForGG. He's just going to care more about his Hellion bikes, siege tanks, and potentially even Thors to deal with his opponent's general infantry units. He does now get a pretty cool blast of Blue Flame up the high ground. But TaeJa is going to be able to break this contain, possibly. Yes, he does have one tank on the high ground that does die as a result of both splash damage and the Viking. So I would say TaeJa's forced his opponent back. It seems as though ForGG is agreeing with me and retreating. Our blue Terran now getting his combat shield. He's got his vehicle weapons level 1. No such research here for ForGG, so he's the one going mech, and he does not have his own vehicle upgrades. Why did I have that tab open? I always close it. You guys know how long this game is, but you don't know who's going to come out on top because it's been very, very back and forth so far. Not many workers killed. ForGG, I would say, came out possibly on top in that engage. He did by about 133 resources. Not too major a difference considering we're 14 minutes into this game, and that was quite a huge contain. But that is essentially TvT for you. It comes down to how well you're able to siege up, how well you're able to break your opponent's tank lines, and these players seem to be phenomenal at doing so. Neither coming out with a definitive advantage, though. TaeJa's production tab is huge. He's got a plethora of researches coming. I say plethora. Some people say plethora. I think the latter is widely accepted as opposed to just saying plethora. A third CC shortly about to finish here for ForGG. He's slightly behind his opponent in terms of mining bases, though one ahead in harvester count. The armory is now building in his... No, that's not his armory. No, the armory is building behind his mineral line in his main. TaeJa now dodging around, careful not to run into these massed blue flame aliens here for ForGG. He's got some Vikings to control the skies and shoot down opposing medevacs. Well, I have to see if TaeJa decides to do the same to gain air dominance, which can be critical in TvT. Mostly when it's Marine Tank Medevac versus Marine Tank Medevac, however. And here's my friend Zapper messaging me with a D-smiley, but we do have quite a big engage here. Some Marauders focusing down aliens. There's the late siege up there from ForGG. He gets a lot of nice kills there, though, on TaeJa's Marines. This is a close battle. Marauders moving in, trying to take out ForGG's tank line. It will be close, but it seems as though our Red Terran is able to keep 3 tanks alive, and TaeJa does the exact same. These tanks trading fairly evenly, but now ForGG going to land his Vikings and win the engage. OP landed Vikings. Going to turn myself here on busy. Zapper messaged me a D-smiley because he played with Root Massa in a custom game, and yes, it was the real Massa. He checked his profile, rank 9 GM, but that is another story in itself. TaeJa still has some Bioforces, adding on Marauders because he knows what he's up against. High Hellion counts means high DPS output against a light Marines, so TaeJa responding to that by building a lot more Marauders to deal with the armored. Siege tanks, are Hellions armored? No, they're light mechanical, but Marauders definitely better suited to deal with them as they are armored biological themselves. I was just wondering what traits the Marauder had. I knew armored, I didn't think biological, but they're living, right? They've got blood flowing through them. We do hope. They could secretly be machines, and the Terrans are just lying to us to make us think that the game is biologically balanced because the Zerg are all bio and the Protoss have Zealots which are bio. That statement didn't make all that much sense, but you get the kind of path I was going down. It could be sensible for them to be... No, I guess armored biological is the most... makes the most sense. They can't be armored mechanical because they're living, so we'll drop that discussion. Well, it is just slightly dry, and we'll move on with TaeJa's impressive push out here with a significantly large bioforce. What is our army supplies? 95 to 94. That explains essentially how close this game is. Look at the supply disparity. ForGG ahead in both harvester count by 2 and army supply by 6 now. But it all depends on whether or not TaeJa will be able to get a good skim up and run into ForGG's tank line. But it seems as though ForGG has spread out his siege tanks so very well. TaeJa getting his 2-2 upgrades, ForGG getting 1 Raven, possibly just predicting some Cloak Banshees if TaeJa's to bring one along with him. Vehicle weapons level 1 will not finish in time here for ForGG, as TaeJa's now going to stim up and just run into these tank lines, killing them one by one. They're in a nice little row there. Here's the massed Hellions moving in, the 3rd CC forced to lift off. Will TaeJa be able to get it burning or not? That could really give him a significant advantage in this game, as he's got his 4th coming back at home. This is going to be a very close position. Some of these medevacs getting targeted down by Vikings. None of them have fallen to my knowledge. ForGG needs to be careful in microing his 20 Hellions. That is quite a lot he's got here on the field. 28. I've got 20 selected, 8, 16, 20, but he does have 8 more right over here. 10 more, so no, 8 more. And now more being added on because that selected 2 of these over here. TaeJa reinforcing. It looks like he may be going for a 2-pronged assault, which could go either way, really. Depends on how well ForGG is able to react to it with his siege tanks. He's pulling seemingly all of his forces here, leaving a huge wide open space. He's only got 3 tanks at his 3rd base. He's going to have to lift off yet again. A lot of his SCVs could be exposed. ForGG's indecisive, and he needs to make up his mind. These tanks are unsieged, and they're going to siege up, but too little too late because TaeJa is not within their range. ForGG flying his Vikings around, but he really needs to be in the right place at the right time because TaeJa's hoping to catch him out of position to be able to kill his 3rd. He's pulling it away yet again. It is in the orange, but he's repairing it with several SCVs. He should be good in terms of keeping it alive. There are some medevacs ferrying out bio units. One of them died, and for a second I thought it was this, but that was my mistake. That's very, very misleading, Blizzard, to put that in your map. Or is it even Blizzard that made this map? It could be the Crux map making team. I think it actually was. I'll have to research that. But TaeJa does have a nice clump of bio here trapped. He's going to stim up, try to do as much damage as he can before these units thin out. So ForGG looking very strong in this game right now. He's got 195 supply to his opponent's 159, a very significant bank. Despite TaeJa's 4 bases, he's not mining it all at his 4th. He does still have just only 4 harvesters more than his opponent. ForGG does not know that his opponent has pretty much, I would say, a quarter of his army right near our red player's 3rd, and he's just going to let it go and move out across the map. He needs to kill TaeJa outright at this point. He has no 3rd. A lot of idle SCVs on the field right now, so he's just going to move in here and try to take on TaeJa. There's so many Hellions here with 1 vehicle weapons. TaeJa actually getting his 2 vehicle weapons. He will be ahead of his opponents. A lot of siege tank shots hitting these light mechanical Hellions. Some of them dying on every single shot. TaeJa is pulling back the remainder of his force, so ForGG should just try to kill his opponent before he's able to get his entire army back, because a blue Terran player still does have production. Well, ForGG is producing 1 Banshee and 3 tanks at a time, but his bank is dwindling. His income is significantly lower, 300 mineral income, 368 gas, to about 1,300 and 700 of his opponents. There's going to be now 1 Thor from TaeJa. Interesting decision. He's going to get his vehicle weapons very soon, which would boost the damage of these siege tanks significantly. I think versus armored they gain 5, so that gives them 60. I'm not sure exactly, but ForGG bringing a bunch of Hellions down here to deal with that same quarter of TaeJa's force, but in turn he loses a lot of supplies for that. I'm not sure if that was the best choice of his. ForGG going to be denied a 3rd mining base. He's trying to land it at his 4th location, though this could be the 4th location, so whatever you want to call that area, even the 5th I would say. TaeJa now sieging up, taking out a couple of Hellions. ForGG's forces are split up. He's moving unsieged tanks into a line of siege tanks. We'll have to see how that goes for him. He's trading fairly evenly because he does have a 2-pronged assault on the way, but it looks like his supplies are just falling lower and lower. TaeJa still got production. He's been camping inside of his base. ForGG does not know about this, and he has very, very low minerals in the bank, under 100. He's spending a lot of them on repairs. So I think this should be GG here. TaeJa could pull the victory out unless he makes a significant micro mistake, which, knowing his absolute consistent skill, is very, very unlikely to happen. He does lose 1 tank there, but now he's just going to stim up and overrun the tank line. He dropped Marauders onto the tanks over here. Very nice decision to wipe out ForGG's tank line. TaeJa has double the supply of his opponent. He's just marching out triumphantly across the map. His forces all orange in health, but ForGG's got very, very little to defend against this. Just 43 supply. So I think as soon as he sees these units at his base, he will call the GG. So there it is. Game goes to TaeJa, and if I was to show you the entirety of this series, you'd probably be very surprised, as ForGG did go up 2-0. And TaeJa took all the glory of DreamHack by winning 3 consecutive games. Guys, if you have any comments or feedback on this new single game system, do leave them down below, or send me a private message if you'd like to keep it between us. And just let me know what you think of this revamp, and I hope you enjoyed this cast. I'll see you guys next time.